You want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And yes, it is showtime, and welcome once again to another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I'm your host, Joe D. McPhee here, and tonight's episode is going to be kind of a weird one in a sense here, but nonetheless, we're here, and we're about to go ahead and get into the crux of the show here without having too much interference here. I hope that everybody is enjoying their Saturday, because why? Mainly because I had actually, and this camera is bothering me right now. I have actually suffered some setbacks already this week where I almost was not able to do tonight's show because of it, because the laptop kind of sort of died, but I was able to get it back up and running for tonight's show, plus some other things here, but we'll talk about that, our topic, and a couple of other things here. But before we get into that, let's get into the business end of things here, mainly making certain that people know that Stupid O'Clock happens 1 hour into the show. If we go a second hour, it really depends on the conversation that we have here. As of right now, it looks like we have nobody in the live chat just as of yet, which is perfectly okay. This is going to be followed up by Last Man Standing, and Last Man Standing happens at 1 o'clock Eastern until we get a little bit of a respite until Monday, where we have Nicholas Tucker with Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then we also have Comic Book Spectrum, which is going to come up here at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time here on Thursday. But nevertheless, here we don't forget about our favorite part of today's show here before we get into the nitty gritty. That is new comic book pickups for the week here. So with that in mind, we got new books that we need to go ahead and show you, and tonight's one is live. So without further ado, now since I got the camera situated and everything, we're going to go through the box. Now, mind you, we did get a lot of books in here. I did suffer some of the loss on the books that came in, because I had a few that came in where it was water damage and it was stuck to the backer board, and it messed up the back cover, and pretty much humidity chamber could not really fix it without having damage. So on that note, we're going to get started here. I'm going to start with, taking it, a little bit at a time here. We're going to start, actually, we're going to do it this way, because I can put them in the box as we go along here. So we got Nearer X issue 4 of, I believe this is volume 2 of Nearer X. There we go here. That's going to be also followed up by Nearer X. This is issue number 0 from the same volume, volume 2. And then we got issues of Razor issue number 12. Yeah, I lost a few of the Razor books here as a result of water damage from the sales here. They were $1 books, so I'm not overly upset about that, but it's just one of the things that, I'm not certain if they took the books out of the bags and boards here, and the camera is up again, so I'm just going to bend it down here, make things a little bit easier on us. I don't feel like fidgeting around with cameras all day long, but nevertheless, we got Birds of Prey number 34, and then Birds of Prey 32, keeping it in screen and without the glare. Then we also got 30, so we're getting close to having, I believe this is volume 3, almost completed the new 52 run. That only went like, I think, 35 or 36 issues here. And there's Birds of Prey number 39, 28, 27, Magnificent Miss Marvel number 6. I'm also going to try to finish that run too. Magnificent Miss Marvel 37. I believe this is volume 4 of that series. So yeah, we're getting closer and closer to completing certain collections here. And then we got the Whisper Special number 1. That's a new one. I believe Whisper is another series that I might actually think about a little bit later to maybe actually thinking about collecting. Supreme Power number 11. That's like my second or third one for Supreme Power. New Guys number 6 from like volume 2 or 3. X-Men Gold 22. And then we got Motormouth and Kill Power number 8. Now, what I find interesting about this series, Motormouth actually was 6 issues, and then they separated the titles by issue number 7 and everything, and it became Motormouth and Kill Power. So it actually went, I believe, 10 issues altogether, but they separated the two here. We got some more Micronauts number 10. And it looks like we got some commenting here. Oh, there she is. There's Parallax Spectre. There she is. And we got another Crusaders number 1 from Impact here. And then we got Barbarella issue number 5. And then we got Promethea 10. And this is like one of these slowly but surely type of series that I'm going to eventually get. Because those books, if you buy it out there in the wild, they are costly. But when you go to like $1 and $2 sales, you might come across some in the wild where you could pick up and make your collection, build your collection inexpensively, but make it more valuable in the long run. We got a Modern Power Girl number 6 from the most recent run, and I always keep forgetting to take these stickers off. We got a Dazzler number 16 with the Enchantress all over again, and we're getting closer and closer to having a full run of the Thing here. Okay, so that sticker is on the bag, so that's a good sign. Issue number 11 of the Thing, and then we got, I believe this is another copy of Mystery 3D right here. And it looks like Don, we got Don in the house. There he is. Don is in the house. So we got a Mystery 3D number 1, a second copy of this. This one did not come with the glasses and everything. And we got Mr. McHale in the house. Yep, there we go. Mr. McHale is in the house here. So we're going to have a good conversation when this is over with here. Electra number 8. I'm going to talk about it because I'm not against people making money, but we're going to talk about the topic here. Yep. Doom Patrol number 11. Actually, this one I believe I did not have here. Now, this one, all of a sudden, I don't know why this is, reached people's popularity polls and whatnot as a must-have book, and why people are looking for it, and it's popping off as far as value. But I believe it's going to crash very, very soon. But I was able to find one, and this is Epic Light #1. Yeah, I was able to find one in the raw, Epic Light #1. For some reason, people have been looking for it out of the blue and everything, and it's just like, yep, got it at a $2 sale. It is what it is here. So we got, oh, hi Don and Unky Eyeball. It's like, bye. Yep, it's like, yeah, better stick around for the conversation. Don't forget to put the thumbs up. I never heard of it. I have been seeing it on a lot of whatnot shows all of a sudden. It's just like people are just bringing them up out of nowhere. Just like, why is this book important? It's like, it's just weird and random. We got Black Diamond #4, which means that I think I have like maybe one or two more to get before I have a full run of Black Diamond. New Mutants 81. New Mutants 72. And if it sounds like I'm going backwards, it's because I'm doing the books face down before I could actually put them back in the box in the same order that I took them out in. We got Film Force 146. This is the second one of those. And this is like the second or third or fourth one of these. This one is a little bit rough, but it is Film Force #8. One of those, what should have been back in the day, one of the harder to find covers because it was a sketch cover nonetheless. But, people who collect this stuff just do what they want to do. And then we got a Film Force 36 here. This is like a second or third copy of that here. And we got Film Force 140, I should say. So we're in the 140s now, considering the fact that the series is now getting close to like I think they're getting close to 250 issues. I still got a lot of stuff in the 100 that I don't have. We got a Sensation Comics featuring Wonder Woman #9. I know I have a full run of that, so that's an extra. And then I'm finally catching up with the current run of Catwoman here. So we got issue 51 from the current series, 44, 43, and 52, because that has the Dawn of DC. So that, we're in the more current run of Catwoman there, keeping them in order. And then this one actually surprised me that I was able to get this one. And this was a freebie. This is Thundercats Apex #1. I'm keeping this, by the way. I'm keeping that. That's not going to go to the claim sale. I'm keeping that one. And then I got some Kirby Genesis books here. So we got Kirby Genesis #4. And then we got a #3. And I believe this is the #1. They didn't have a #2. So Kirby Genesis #1. So that was kind of cool in a nutshell. And then we got the movie adaptation of Steel. That's the movie adaptation here. And then again, from that actual sale too, Sweetie Candy Vigilante #1. I'm going to actually read that, so I'm going to put that over here. That's to be read, possibly to be done on Comic Book Spectrum. And then we got another copy of Wonder Woman 329, the very last issue of Volume 1. Yep. Ooh, and Matthew is saying, I always like Steel. I mean, Mr. Irons has always been a very interesting character. So I don't sneeze at them at all. It's like it's an interesting read nonetheless here. And we got Dark Knight's Metal, Dark Knight Death Metal #1. That is the Wonder Woman cover all over again. Like I said, $1, $2 sales. Now this one is interesting. We got Howard the Duck #19. Now I did preview that one the other day on Thursday, that this was going to be on here for a new comic book pickups for the week. So we got Howard the Duck #19, homage to the Spider-Man book where he actually becomes human. We still got more, and I finally got a full set of them now instead of just the one. But the full set of books that we got here is from the She-Hulk run, the issue #1. This is the Greg Horn trilogy of all 3 covers that he did, the special covers that he did here. That's all 3 of them here. So trying to get them in order. I believe the order was like this here. So in order from release here, these are all 3. They were all released in the same month, by the way, but it's just the different variants here. Is like you had this one, and then this one would appear with second, and then that was the last one in order. So we got a set of these, and I think we got that full set for the low price of $20. So that's getting going in and getting preserved and everything. And then we also have another copy of Blood Syndicate 1, the collector's edition, still in poly, which means that it has to get pressed here. And we got another issue of the Tandy Computer Whiz Kids. I'm getting closer to having a full run of those too. You'd be surprised if, like the stores like Radio Shack and everything, getting a full run of those books and everything too here. And see, still is awesome. I even like the Shack movie. Yep, that show is based upon the Shack movie. Yeah. What's yours? What's yours? That I don't know which one is yours. Unky Eyeball, make him give it to me. So we got Marvel's #1. This is the I think this is the non-acetate one. No, yeah, this is the non-acetate Marvel's #1. So this is the non-acetate. So this is not the fancy schmancy one. This is the non-acetate Marvel's #1. I kind of figures like if it was the acetate one, that would have been like, wow, that was a good pickup for like $2. And if you guys wondering, it's like, well, how are you getting all these $1 and $2 books? It's like sometimes you just have to know where to look, and Whatnot does have like different claim sales and everything that makes things easier. We got another copy of White Heat #1, and then this one I'm probably going to grade this one too. There it is. Hulk 282. I got another one to probably send off to get graded here. I just realized what I had in the box. I was like, I really didn't separate them all that well. And this one I might also do too, but this one has to definitely get pressed because of the way it lumps up right here in the spine. But it's pretty. It is pretty. It's nice. But there it is. Fantastic Four 275. The Incredible Hulk one, that is somewhat of a key, but the Fantastic Four is not. But that one's just too pretty not to be encased for preservation purposes. And then we got another copy of Immortal She-Hulk 1, which is nice and pretty. And the 593, yeah, I might take a chance. Yeah, I might take a chance on both of these, pressing them out and sending them. Newsstand copies of what I've been telling a lot of people about. Here he is again. Another set of Action Comics, 592, 593. Not going to tell you guys the significance anymore. I have I have you know talked about those two issues to death. I'm not going to say anything else about it. We got another Promethea. We got a Promethea 22. So, like I said, with Promethea, slowly but surely getting those together here. We got another Huntress number 9. I have completed that run, but that's another copy of issue number 9 here. And then we got some Squirrel Girls because I still try to finish that off here. Squirrel Girl 38. Oh, I thought I had more Squirrel Girls, but no, I guess that's not in this run here. Spirit number 11. Oh, there it is. Squirrel Girl number 49. Like I say, it just felt weird. It's like it went from that to Spirit. And then we got Static number 14. And then we get into the prize pickups for the week here. And I'm going to do this in reverse order here because the good stuff should always be last here. Which She-Hulk? Which one are you trying to make him give to you? You have to be specific. In order of importance here, we ended up getting Wonder Woman 181, Volume 1. Inexpensive too. If I told you how much I paid for it, you would be kind of upset. Wonder Woman 192. Now, like I said, we're saving the best for last here. Wonder Woman number 64. Yes, it has a chip missing out of it here, but this was one of those deals that, like I said, it's like from what was stated before, how a certain person doesn't like the land of miles high prices. I ended up getting a mile high deal on this issue. So we got Wonder Woman 64, which puts me even closer to having all of Volume 1. So we're getting there. It's a slow build, but we're getting there. And last but not least here, the last book of the night is an actual slab itself. And here it is. It is Captain Marvel number 1 at a 9.6 for the low price of about $23. Yes, I got it for like about $23. So it's been a good kind of sort of pickups week, or at least stuff that I had paid for finally came in, because that's just the way books are when it happens here. So these goes into to be graded pile, and we still got stuff to take over to the office here. Eyeball likes those Diana Prince books. Yeah, the new Wonder Woman stuff where she lost her powers. Those were interesting stories. I like that era, and I like some of the the issues before you get to issue 100. Those were some interesting stories in Wonder Woman lore. But the early stuff is just like weird. It's just like you have to be in the right mindset to really pay attention and really read and ingest those books here. So, breakdown of everything that's been going on as of late, and getting into our topic. I didn't post this on Facebook because I didn't want to alarm people, but yesterday at about 9 a.m., my main laptop almost died on me. And when I say almost died, I mean just like wouldn't boot, it's like it would boot up, but it wouldn't boot up to an operating system. And it was weird because there was a couple of things that I noticed that was happening over the past week with it. Like, for example, I was losing disk space out of nowhere, and then on Thursday, I was noticing that things like the Norton antivirus wasn't working the way that it should be, and all this other stuff. So, did I get a virus? Probably not, because if it was a virus, I would still be working, trying to get it up and running and everything. But I believe something happened with the operating system that caused it not to want to boot up properly. I tried doing all sorts of types of recovery and everything to it. Couldn't get it to come back up with all the stuff that I had on there back, where I didn't have to like rush and get everything back on. But nevertheless, we had to end up re-imaging everything. And fortunately enough for me, I still have a copy of Windows 10, which I could put up in there, and it does a different type of recovery on the Windows 10 thumb drive that I could, boot up everything. It put another copy of Windows on there, and I was able to manipulate and maneuver and get everything back up and running. I got I got everything cleaned up. The bad thing about it is that as of right now, the laptop does not have the Microsoft Office suite on here, only because of the type of account that I have with Microsoft. They made changes where I have to upgrade to the next package to have the software back on my PC again, and that like doubles the price. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. It's like, as long as I could still do Word and stuff online up under that same account, I'm fine. I'm okay with it. But everything else is back. So like the Clip Studio Paint, the Photoshop, the DAW Studio. Oh, and the good thing about what happened is that the DAW Studio is now finally updated to its newest version and everything. So it was kind of like one of those things. It's like, okay, now I got everything back working the way that it should, except for this monitor right here, which I no longer can. Well, actually, I could get it to work, but I can't get it to work as a third monitoring device as of yet, because of driver situations for the actual USB dongle that I have for the VGA monitor that I'm using here. But my UAEon tablet is working perfectly fine. My 13 by 19 printer is working fine. My scanner is working okay. Everything is back where it's supposed to be. It's just one of those things that was annoying and scary, because again, when you're in the middle of producing a book, you don't want your laptop or your main means of doing the graphics to crap out on you, and you not be able to do any work or be able to have something new to present by the time you go to your first convention. So we got all of that taken care of. We're going to be back on schedule, and this camera is annoying me with the way that it is. It is doing its thing here. For some reason, the clamp back here is not being tight anymore, so I got to figure out how I'm going to keep that working here, to keep it in order and tight. So I might have to invest in a different holder or figure out a different way to keep that in place here. Or I might have to tilt this monitor over in such a way where it's points this way towards me, and I could look like this. Matter of fact, let's try something out right now. Move the camera real quick, because that's going to annoy me to no end. Okay, that's a bit better. So now I can look over here and talk to you guys like so. Um, what we're going to end up doing is that we're going to keep our production for prime time Saturday night here, and we're going to get to our Amazonia as soon as possible. I did format another half page before that happened, but it's weird. It's weird, It crapped out shortly after trying to do some video editing, and that's where all this stuff happened. But all that's water up under the bridge. We're back up and running, so I'm glad about that. But in doing so, it made me think about some of the things that I've been seeing on DeviantArt and some other platforms dealing with art, which is tonight's topic. Why are AI artists charging for their work as if they are like traditional artists? I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't. I want people to get that out their mind as of right now. That's not what I'm saying here. But what I'm seeing here is like platforms like DeviantArt is allowing people who use AI platforms and tools primarily to have subscription level memberships and all this other stuff on their accounts now, making people pay to see their work, just like as if they were traditional artists. And I find it quite weird because a lot of the work that I see on platforms like DeviantArt and on Patreon and all these other platforms that is conducive for artists, when you deal with AI assisted tools, it's a little bit different. The art quality is different. You could see a lot of the problems that happen in these pieces that they're posting here. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that these people are not being creative. I want to, throw that out the window, because I have seen a lot of creative work coming from them. And I've seen people who actually use these AI tools to actually do animation. Now, some of the effects and stuff that they have been doing, it's interesting. The final outcome and effects is kind of hit and miss here, because as I look at what they're doing and get a better understanding of how they're doing this stuff, it's almost as if they're learning how the tools are doing these things here at a faster rate than what a traditional artist would do if they didn't have these tools. Now, with that in mind, that made me think about the second question. Are people losing faith and not having patience with traditional artists now? Because if people who can learn these tools can do similar work, I'm not going to say greater, but similar work at a lesser quality, at a faster rate, that is passable, does that mean that the average layperson, and I'm using layperson as a person who does not engage in the creative arts like most others, would that make them feel that I might as well go with these guys over here who could use these tools that we own, as opposed to somebody who is creating something in a more traditional standpoint? So, like with the videos and stuff that I've been seeing that is being done with these AI tools, a lot of the effects and stuff are similar quality, but when you look at how it's being done and the image manipulation and everything, is like you could tell with a fine eye that it's not 100% there. It's good enough, but a keen eye would be like, man, at this point it becomes garbage, or at this point they should have been done, this should have happened, or that should have happened, or it should have been removed, and this, that, and the other. It's like those who understand the traditional processes could look at it and be like really wanting to break it down and be like, no, we got to fix this, we got to fix this, we got to fix this. Even with AI generated images, you could look at stuff and be like, yeah, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Those who do things in a more traditional aspect, we could look at it and we could look at all the stuff that is wrong with it, but also at the same time, does the average person look at that same image and see the same things that somebody who is trained see as a problem? And it's weird. And like I said, I'm not trying to make those who are doing these things who trying to make money off of the platform and trying to make money off of their ingenuity and using the AI tools. But it makes me wonder where people's mindsets are when it comes to art nowadays. Because in the very beginning, everybody was up here. It's like, oh, it's like we should put down AI art because of prompts and this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. It's like, and I even showed you guys in a couple of episodes that with doing the whole prompt thing, it's really not the prompt. It's more about what information is in that AI assisted tool that it can pull from, and how it deems what it has in its resident library to pull from to generate that image for you. What is becoming scary is that people who are getting better at these tools, if given the opportunity to have a bigger art base for that AI assisted tool, they could pretty much generate some very good stuff here. But the problem then lies with, are they good enough to come back after that thing was generated to fix the errors? Let me get back to this to the chat here. It's like, yeah, there are always some jank. Yeah, I mean, you can't get around those problems here. Like, for example, it's like body parts and limbs just disappear out of nowhere, especially with the photorealistic ones. You could tell that, the generator just did not position people, limbs, things in its right spot. Like, there was one that I looked at. It's like it was two people sitting on the couch, and the one person that was sitting down, you see both of their legs, but there was only one shoe, and that one shoe was being shared by both legs. And I'm up there like, yeah, I mean, in the aspect of like, when you look at it, be like, oh, that's interesting. It's like, that's a nice, nice concept, but it's not something that I would say would be, something that is professional. It's like, it's something that, if you were just doing that account to be, tinkering around with it, fine, dandy, but it's not something that I would say like, hey, I'm getting good enough at it to, make people pay to see other images. It is what it is. Oh, sometimes it's more than 6 fingers. You got sometimes it's at 6 fingers, 8 toes. If you have people holding hands, it's like one hand and not two, or it's like a ball, or so like a ball that extends out to both people. I mean, it's not done in such a way where it is. And I'm looking at the laptop here, addressing the comment. It's like, They said it's like the sign saying beauty parlor and it's beauty. Yeah, it can't do letters very well. It can't replace letters very well. It can't spell things very well. It can't do it cannot do perspective very well. These are the types of things that you have to know how to use other tools to correct these things in. I mean, it's not just, and the reason I bring it up is that the more I delve into what's going on with AI art, it's not an exact science. You're going to eventually have to use other tools to correct the images. Now, what it is good for, if you have the right people behind it, is that it's good for, if I could say, graphic art type deals where you could do like collages and overlays, and you might be able to cover up those points of where you have problems with the AI generation of the image. But also at the same aspect here, you still have to have the AI generated image and then go to like a Photoshop or go to like a Quark or to like an Illustrator and fix and manipulate and get everything to the way that you need it. It does cut down on a lot of the time and effort for the traditional methods being used by regular artists, yes, but it doesn't really give you a finalized image like most people think. It can do a lot of simple stuff, and that's kind of like the fear is that how often do we want simple, a little bit of graphics here and there? And will that spark a career for somebody else? And I always come back down to the fact that AI assisted tools requires and until something better comes along, it always would require a repository of other people's artwork. It does not create things out of the blue. You give it a prompt and it goes into its repository to find items and things that makes up that particular prompt or something that it can use to generate those prompts. One of the things that I showed in previous episodes is that it has a problem dealing with scale. It does not understand the concept of size. It does not really understand the concept of perspective. It barely understands camera angle. So these are types of things that, again, after the image is generated, you still have to have somebody who is well versed in another tool to manipulate it to get it pristine and to the point where it is a viable image. But again, it's not something that I would see as a person who is trying to get into like the AI scene. If you know a person that's trying to get into the AI scene as far as the art side is concerned, I don't see it being as such where you should be able to charge a subscription fee for people to see your images. That to me is kind of like getting to that aspect of, are you really that much of an expert in whatever tool that you're using where you could generate a flawless image? From the ones that I have been tracking, the answer is no. Now, with that being said, should they be allowed to make money off of it? If people are willing to pay for it, they're willing to pay for it. I can't say to somebody else. Don't spend your money this way or don't spend your money that way. It's your money. Do what you want to it. But what I can say is let's look at the facts as far as what is actually talent and what the talent is actually in, as opposed to we're all the same. It's like an artist is an artist is an artist. Like, not necessarily. It's one thing to be a master of a tool, but it's another thing to have a deeper knowledge of how things are constructed in a particular field. It's one thing for these AI artists to do these subscriptions if they are claiming that they are an expert on that platform. And if so, I would like to see flawless images. Even if it was for even like the ones that you have, out there for freely displayed. If it was flawless, I would be like, okay, I get it. You're doing, yeoman's work with that particular tool. But now I'm up here really seeing that the ones that really are doing the AI generated work, a lot of the stuff seems similar. And when I say similar, it's like they're using the same types of images, the same types of designs over and over and over again, and it's not, how can I put this? It's not something that they can control. It is based upon the prompt that is given and what the AI tool is limited to. Have I seen some good concepts and good compositions? Yes. Would it pass the standard test for most practical professional purposes? It really depends on what you're trying to, use it for, or what the image needs to represent, or what you're trying to advertise, or what story you're trying to tell. It can be passable. It may not be the best available, but it is passable. Yeah, I have a structured settlement, but I need money now. Yeah. she went all JG Wentworth on me on that statement here. Yeah, but you could tell that, you could tell AI can to be J. Scott Campbell like or Jack Kirby like renditions of He-Man and She-Ra. Now, if you remember, Paralyze, if you remember what I did in those episodes here, when you say J. Scott Campbell like or Jack Kirby like, the AI tool, if depending on its repository of images, when you say Jack Kirby, it's going to go and find Jack Kirby like images. It's then going to try to go and find He-Man and She-Ra. And based upon the images that they can see for Jack Kirby and the images of He-Man and She-Ra, it tries to make something that blends it together. It's not creating it from scratch. It's doing weirdness and morphing into those things kind of match up and lined up here. If you remember, I told it to do like something like a African-American She-Hulk, and what it did was it did a She-Hulk and barely turned it brown. AI does not have the formative capability as of yet to create stuff on its own. It has to have reference, and reference is perfectly fine because we as artists use references, but that reference has to be of such where it's had to be way more in depth than what I would need to create that image. And that's where where I kind of see the whole thing about that last question. Are people losing faith in people like myself because we're taking a lot longer to do the stuff. And it's a difference in work ethic in that aspect here, where I could have a tool up here and violate people's copyrights and everything, feed those images into this generator, give it a prompt, it spit out something that is almost of such quality where I could use it immediately. That's where the dilemma lies at here. And this is kind of like one of the things that was happening during the writer strike and everything in Hollywood, because studios, once word got out about that, it's like studios was actually like, hey, we own all the rights and images and all these, photos and videos and everything of our movies. Maybe we don't need that traditional graphic artist. Maybe we can feed all this stuff into an AI generator, and we could get something close enough, especially if you're doing a movie where you don't have to be as detailed, just close enough, because it's like as things move, you have motion blur and stuff like that, where it doesn't seem like it needs to be 100% accurate. If you could get it close enough where people won't complain about how off it looks, you have something that's viable. So that makes me wonder, is traditional artistry being shunned to the point because of the simple fact that it is not as friendly to the people who need the work done? Now, I am a firm believer that you get what you pay for. If you're going to pay somebody who knows the AI tools a lot better, and you get those images from them and you're happy with it, don't be surprised when people talk about how, your character has 15 toes or 2 fingers and all this other stuff, or the arm is cut off, or you got like a stubby arm, or the hands and stuff is way too small for the character itself, or, the face and eyes are so deformed. And that's another thing that AI has a hard time doing, is rendering faces, newer faces. Not just, it's like it will render the same face over and over and over again, but when you have multiple people in the scene, it has a problem rendering new faces for people, and you have those weird looking people in those images. So that's another thing that it still have a hard time to do. But it's going to take somebody time and effort in another program to manipulate those images to perfect them. Now, for the videos and stuff that I've been seeing that's done by AI, it's going to take somebody that has video editing capabilities and skills in those softwares to fix those types of things here. But I believe that video editing, you could get by a little bit quicker than those that need still images. But that's just me, and that's how I kind of feel about that and everything here. But the fact, and I'm going to say the audacity of these people, because again, people can make money however they want. That's not the problem here. The problem is the fact that platforms like DeviantArt is allowing that type of stuff to happen. The fact that these images that they produce from these AI generators are not copyrighted at all, which means that they're not intellectual property that can be bought and sold technically, as far as rights is concerned. By them simply posting it, generating and posting it, it's kind of like public domain. Anybody could grab it and use it, because it has no trademarks, it have no copyright applied to it. So it makes me wonder, why allow people who have expertise in these AI tools to have like a subscription portion of their account where people have to pay to see those images here. Now, if we look at wanting to be paid for man hours, I get it. I understand that. And I know how a lot of traditional artists are going to be like, well, how hard is it for you to put in a prompt and get and it spits out a image? It could take a long time, because it's not just like you type in one prompt and it generates hundreds of thousands of images here. You refine your prompt as you go along. So you say, it's like, hey, using parallax thing, it's like, hey, make me a Jack Kirby like image of the Statue of Liberty. And then you come back, it's like, well, make me a Jack Kirby like image of Statue of Liberty eating a hot dog at a Dodger game. And then you add more things, and you add more things, and you add more things, and it gets refined and refined more and refined more and refined more. And as you get it to the pinnacle of refinement, and you get that final image, that's when you have to take that step back and you look at it. It's like, okay, most people be like, I'm done. But if you actually work as a professional, you take that step back. It's like, okay, now I got this image. Let me see what is obvious that I need to fix. And you see like, oh, I got at least 5, 6, 7 different people's faces to fix. I have to get, fix the hand over here. The hand over here, it seems like it only has 3 fingers and need to have, 4, stuff to that magnitude. Or you get to the point, it's like, well, I can't really use this image as a whole here, mainly because there's too many errors up in it where if you're a non-traditional artist, you wouldn't know how to fix them. And that's really why I'm kind of like questioning about loss of faith within traditional artists. Because if we're ready, and I say I'm talking about in general, as a population, if we're so ready for all these shortcuts, where is quality comes in and plays a factor? If I could do this and it spits out an image for me in 5 minutes, why do I need a person like myself who would have to take 2 days in order to get you a same quality image, or 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months to get you the same quality image? Or I should say same quality image. It takes us about, takes a lot longer than 2 to 5 minutes to give you an image. But to give you the same type of quality or better, in most cases it's going to be better, it takes us a lot longer. But if you don't have faith in what we can do without using those type of tools, where does that put people as a whole? And we're not, and I'm not one of those people that would say, oh, AI is bad, this, that, or the other, we shouldn't be using it. It's like a tool is a tool is a tool. To me, this right here, this mechanical pencil is one of the tools of the craft. This Sharpie is a tool of the craft. Same thing with this eraser. AI is essentially one of them in the eyes of a traditional artist. It's nothing more than a tool. But when it comes to the bigger population, when you look at society, when you look at the bigger population, people would see the AI tools as a bigger shortcut, where not understanding how to use this or this or this would show a lot of shortcomings. I mean, a lot of shortcomings. I mean, it's kind of like inevitable here. Which is more important? Is time more important than actual blood, sweat, and tears at this point? And how should it be compensated? Because again, the man hours that these people are putting into these AI tools should be compensated too. I'm not discounting that at all. But should it be compensated at the same level as somebody who has to take 2.5, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years to perfect something that is far greater than something that could be generated in 5 to 10 minutes? I'm not saying all traditional art is better than AI. Only thing I'm saying here is that with the way that AI is at right now, it's still going to need people who have the capability to refine it beyond the tool itself. And seeing more and more accounts popping up on platforms like DeviantArt and setting up subscription accounts as if they know how to do the refinement when they don't do it bothers me. It just really bothers me. It's not really a question about, and it's not even saying that they're not following a mindset of an artist. It's more of that moral conundrum when you look at the general populace as a whole, what somebody could be a fan of. Can AI assisted renders do line art? Yes, it could. But the thing about it is that even if it did the line art, thus the person who gives the prompt has the means and the knowledge to correct any mistakes that it generates. Or is it just going to be like, oh, it's good enough for me, here you go? And the person on the other end is willing to accept it. What does that mean for those who put in the blood, sweat, and tears to do it the old-fashioned way? I don't believe going the way of the artisan is the correct view for this here. Because again, we're not in a day and age where some of the more traditional aspects of art are being followed anyway. We don't have true calligraphers anymore, or at least they're few and far between. We don't have many true sculptors anymore that use physical mediums. And when I say physical mediums, I'm talking about there's very few and far between that's going out there with a big slab of rock and molding the rock into like a nice statue or a nice piece of artwork. We're not having too many people, going out there perfecting the crafts of old like we used to way back when. A lot of the knowledge from those traditional, if I could say, forms of artwork are being lost. We're getting fewer and fewer people going into the arts of like embroidery and all this other stuff. And we're getting to the point of using more modern tools, which speeds up the process. But also at the same time, we're losing knowledge from the traditional aspects of things, where if we had that knowledge and people will work on that knowledge as well as work in those tools, we could have the advantages of both sides. But when one is put up as being greater than the other, in this case, AI assisted tools being pushed so hard, so fast that traditional means of art gets left behind, then you're setting yourself up for whatever's being rendered by these tools would be the set standard, and nobody would understand how that stuff is being, to correct it here. I have more of appreciation for those people who are doing it the traditional way, and then maybe go to like an AI tool to kind of like set up like the basis, and then coming back and making something beautiful out of it. But to sit there to come up with, to mastering prompts to get like a base image, and you don't know how to manipulate it beyond that, it kind of makes me wonder where most people lie at as far as their view of art is concerned. Because that to me is not really art. It will get you far as quick and easy things here. It may get you past illustrating like a report or something to that magnitude, but the true body of art is an extension of creativity from the individual. And this has to be an extension that is born from the ground up. Yes, the generator is technically doing part of that, but it's not in the same aspect when you lose the detail behind it, because you don't know how to correct those mistakes that will appear in those renders. Just like when I do DAW Studio, everything is not 100%. I have to go up in there. I have to go in there and manipulate all the figures, all the environment, all the other things such as lighting, everything to get it to the point where it is workable. And that is before I even put it in Photoshop to generate the actual panels for the pages and everything. And then after that, I still might have to go back and make some added touches to the actual renders. And then after that, I might have to make even further changes when I get to the lettering of it for just sound effects and everything. And that's even before I even start putting in the dialogue. I just didn't stop at a single render. It goes through a process. It gets refined. It gets polished. It gets to that level where it's like, you know what? This one thing now shines as a page because of all the little details that you have to put into it after the initial render is done. With AI artists, I hope if you're hearing me now, I want you to just sometimes take that step back after you did that render in whatever tool that you use here, and really take a look at it and see where things could be done better. And then figure out, is there something that I might have to take into Photoshop to fix, or GIMP or Quirk or some other graphic tool to fix? If not, take a step back and say, maybe I need to refine my prompt in such a way to see if that fixed that particular issue. If that doesn't work, then maybe you need to think, maybe I need to find out how do I add extra images that has what I need to be rendered, to add it to that reservoir, or I should say reservoir, that repository. If that doesn't work, then maybe it's time for you to be like, you know what, such and such company, your product is not efficient enough. Because that's what we go through as artists, as traditional artists. We go through that refinement. Just because, things could get rendered between, 2 to like 3 to 4 hours does not make it a masterpiece right then and right there. these tools can only go so far. And I applaud those who have gotten to the point where they mastered the prompts now to get good images out. I applaud you for that. But even with that being stated, there's still things that still need to be done in the long run here. And we're in like going into like our second hour. And, you know, that's where I'm at here with this argument. It's not the fact that you guys want to be compensated for your man hours. I agree with it. You should be compensated. But it's not the same level of, I don't see it being equal, especially when it comes to platforms like DeviantArt. When I say it is not equal, on average, the ones that I've been following, they could generate anywhere between 20 to 40 images a day. They put it out there for a subscription base, and they could build up a repository for their subscribers to look at on a consistent basis. I mean, literally have like libraries of images where a subscriber could look at all this stuff and will be satisfied for months on end. Unlike a person like myself who would have to take a lot longer time to generate maybe a fourth of the amount of images that they can do. And what makes it even worse is that DeviantArt themselves has AI generated tools that people can use on their website. It is also one of the reasons why I said in the past that I have stopped putting artwork, at least newer artwork, out there on DeviantArt. Granted, in their terms of use, anything that you put in your stash is free game for their AI tool. I still don't trust it, because you can still, you know, grab copies of images from DeviantArt to put it in some other third party AI generated tool, and lo and behold, it's like you might see some of your work on somebody else's piece of work. I mean, that's kind of like one of the dangers here. It's like it's kind of hard to fight the digital aspects of art, you know. But then again, you know, we got into like several generations where a lot of the digital aspect of art is the only thing that people know. This is probably the reason why they wanted the whole NFT thing to work. And I was like, I looked at that and it's like, you know, you're just reinventing the wheel and you're going to reinvent the same problems. You know, there's not going to be enough unique identifiers to say that a copy of a copy is unique enough for an individual. The only safe way for you to have a true NFT is to actually go back to physical medium, which means that you have to go back and have the artist release, like in my case, release like the pencils for like Amazonia. That would be an NFT. You know, the actual pages for Amazonia would be NFTs here. Unlike with Primetime Saturday Night would not be an NFT because the majority of that has been done digitally. So it would be a copy of a copy of a copy. But that's just me. And I know people out there are going to be like, Joe, you don't know what you're talking about NFTs and this, that, and the other. NFTs is just cannot be explained that simply. It's like, technically it can. It's no different than I forgot I forgot who used to own like the standard for watermarks. Each watermark used to have, I forgot the name of the company, but there was the one company that had watermarks that would qualify on the same level of the NFT. It had a unique identifier applied to whatever image that you put out there digitally. So whenever a person comes to that particular image, up under that, up and in the body of that particular image, once that watermark was applied, that company would be able to tell you, it's like, nope, that's not the original. That's the one that he put out there with this watermark. That is his image. That's not the original file that's coming from the original source from the artist. That was a copy. And that's how NFTs really should have been done, more so than anything else. It's like, it wouldn't be something that somebody else could own and have free reign over. It would be a way for them to be able to identify, okay, this source of artwork came from this individual, and based upon this watermark, this individual have set copyright for it. That's how NFTs should have worked. But that's just me. But again, I know there's going to be people up here that's going to be in the comments after they see this and be like, oh, you're wrong about this and this, that, and the other. It could be a lot stronger, this, that, and the other. But if it was that strong, how come it's not a standard by now? At least a standard where most traditional artists will follow to move them over to digital. And that's the key thing. Most traditional artists are not 100% digital. And that's the key thing about it. We got a lot of digital tools out here that makes things go faster. But it does not necessarily mean that it is the best method as far as overall manpower to get a good masterpiece. I have seen so much stuff done so much better on physical medium than digital in this day and age. Even though digital works fine. Digital works fine. You can get great quality work digitally so. But innovation, the next innovation is still following the old school physical medium traditional art styles. If you don't believe me, just look up, just take a look at what painters are doing nowadays, what sculptors are doing nowadays, embroiderers. If I ever get a chance to really use my Ames lettering tool, I might get back into calligraphy again. But there's a lot of traditional methods that are being lost because of the move to digital and the push, and more of a push towards AI, because of the simple fact that somebody else did it. We could come in and manipulate it as long as we have the right copyrights for it. And if we don't, who's to say that we didn't steal it and have it in our image repository? But it is what it is here. And it also is what it is when it comes down to people getting paid for their manpower and using those tools. It's just sad that I'm seeing it more often now on platforms of DeviantArt, where more and more people are moving the subscription route to view those types of images. But nonetheless, it's their right to do so. I'm not going to try to get people out there with pitchfork and torches to say, stop doing that. It's like, no. It's no different than any other job that is out there, or any other thing that requires manpower. So it's no different. It's like and the thing is, I put it no differently than the person who works on a phone bank that has to answer every call that comes in. That takes manpower to do so. And it's not something that is a glamorous thing to do, but it just takes manpower to do so. Just like it takes manpower to put in prompts. It takes manpower to turn on a, to turn on a computer and stuff to that magnitude. I mean, it is what it is. However, we need to take a good look at ourselves as far as how we view art in this aspect. Are we getting to the point where we're going to do or treat art in the aspect of just pure manpower? Or are we going to actually look at it as far as the knowledge and tradition that each individual has when it comes to producing their work? If it's the latter, then I question, why would AI artists feel the need to be compensated for their work out in the same and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be compensated, but I'm talking about at the same level as another traditional artist. That's what way I feel that is happening on DeviantArt, because it's allowing them to put their work at the same level as a traditional artist, even though they control how much money you have to give to them for their subscriptions and everything. It is still putting them on that same level. Now, like I said before, if for some reason that AI artist is able to go into a different program and correct mistakes and everything, I'm all for it. I don't have a problem with it. But from the greater majority of the ones that I see out there on Patreon and DeviantArt and all these other platforms, Newgrounds and everything, the greater majority of them do not, and emphasize, do not do what I said in the former. They do not go out there and correct those mistakes here. Okay, I see more comics here. I see more comments. It's like if somebody spent 8 hours drawing, inking, coloring something for me, that is worth way more than somebody that has created a great prompt to use high power computers to render an AI of it. And that's the thing here. And that's the best way to describe it. 8 hours worth of manpower to do an image, as opposed to somebody with a high power computer who did it in 5 or 10. Is that 10 minutes worth of their work equivalent to that person's 8 hours? That's the moral question that I brought up with the way that I phrase it. Are they equal? No, they're not. Now, if the person who did the image in 10 minutes went back and corrected the mistakes from the high power computer that it generated from to make it look nice and spiffy, then we're in the same ballpark. But for the most part, the majority of the ones that I see on DeviantArt and all these other places are not doing that. They're not even coming close. Nowhere close here. So on that note, I am bringing that aspect of the conversation to a close, unless there's anything else that you guys want to talk about on this topic, because like I said, it's not a angry rant. It's more of, I'm ranting more so about where does people align themselves with when it comes to how they see art. I mean, if you truly think about it, technically they could come up with a system for culinary stuff. It's like if you want fried chicken, there's a they could come up with a actual automated way to make fried chicken, but it wouldn't be the exact same way that an actual chef would make it, an actual physical person who went through the actual training to bread it, coat it, cut it, all this other stuff, who takes the actual man hours to perfect it. I mean, it's just that way. It's like, are we moving in that direction where knowledge is going to be lost, truly lost, because of the simple fact that convenience of time outweighs the expression, the knowledge, and the skill when it's done the traditional way? And we got another comment here. It's like, even if they spent an hour with the AI, it's not the same as 8 hours of manpower, talent, and work. I agree in that aspect. I honestly agree. But here's the thing. When you have and then this brings up the other question. When platforms like Newgrounds, DeviantArt, Patreon is allowing people who do AI level work and get to the point where they are mastering prompts to have the same capabilities of charging people to see their work, is that more of a comment about what we as a bigger populace see and understand as what is art and what is not art? That's the other thing that comes into question, because we just can't say, oh, AI artists are bad. It's like, no, they're not bad. They found a tool, they went ahead, they mastered that tool, just like anybody who goes through old school sculpting. If they picked up a hammer and chisel and they just went away and worked at using that hammer and chisel for like 30, 40 years, they learned a lot about how to use those two tools. And they could use it in such a way and such great skill to manipulate whatever material that they can. But the problem that I see here is that the knowledge and everything that the person with the hammer and chisel, what he went through, is not going to be the same thing as what somebody with AI does. They will have knowledge of the AI tool itself, but what if that image is flawed? And that's the key thing. If the image is flawed, then they know how to correct it. The person with that hammer and chisel, they would, because when they make a mistake, they will have to figure out right then and there how to correct it. And if not, they will have to leave that particular piece alone or start from scratch. And there's a process where they have to learn. With AI, yes, there's trial and error within AI tools, but the end result is not something where something actually gets truly pitched, because the AI generator would still do that exact same image. It's not something that the AI is learning from its own mistakes. It's doing the best that it can based upon the way it's programmed. So, I don't want to sound like a broken record. So with that being done, let me go ahead and move the camera back over here to its original position on the laptop here. That way I could look at the screen and talk to you guys here, because I'm done ranting and raving. At least I wasn't ranting. I wasn't angry. I wasn't angry or wasn't anything, but it's kind of like one of those food for thought type deals here when it comes down to anything that is AI generated. And I'm not limiting this to just art. And when I look at art, I'm not talking about, those that are just, drawings or paintings and everything. Art includes things like music. Art could include things like writing. Art has a bigger scope than what people think it has here. Now, yes, I have limited to what most people consider, actual graphic art like work here. And I should have known that this was going to happen when I put it back over here. So there we go. So I have done a conversation based upon that, but these are things that have been talked about in multiple industries, not just what I do. The music industry has been doing this a lot longer. They have been dealing with these problems a lot longer than we have. Now we're getting into writing. AI is doing a lot more writing based upon what other people wrote here. Now, the question becomes more or less like the rush to AI is, to me, and I hate to say this like a naysayer, but it is rushing people to be more dumbed down and to in an aspect of, if I could do this in 30 minutes as opposed to 2 days, I'm going to take the 30-minute route, knowing good and well that the 30-minute route may not be the proper expression of your feelings, your thoughts, your research, and everything to that magnitude. It's a tool. It may have some value as far as time saving concerns, but it's not the end all be all to the craft or trade that you picked up and that you hold near and dear to your heart here. On that note, let's switch gears to something. Let's switch gears to something that's more positive here in the last couple of minutes here. Because I want people to have the rest of their Saturday here to focus on something that is fun here. Now, I just lost my train of thought here. Oh, I forgot about, yeah, this book also came in too. And I'm debating if this one's going to be in our next whatnot sale, which is supposed to happen, I believe, on the 8th next week. I think we're having another one next week. Yeah, I got another Wonder Woman #1, and I know this one is special to Parallax because I know the whole story here. But yeah, I got another #1. Not certain if that's going to make it to the whatnot sale, if I'm going to sell it or not, or if I'm going to put that in a to be graded pile. But it's just like the more I'm moving towards getting deeper into this industry that we call comics, and the art aspects of it and the publishing aspect of it, the more I'm beginning to see those things that creators like myself really need to talk more about, to get people to truly understand why certain things are done the way that they are done here, and not to speak truly against certain things, but look at the downside of a lot of this stuff here. To me, AI generation, it is a means to manipulate the workforce. And the reason I say manipulate the workforce is because if it takes less man hours to generate an image, it means that you don't need somebody that is as much as an expert to create what they need to do, what needs to be done here. That's assuming, and I'm putting that in quotes, that's assuming that the tool itself is creating acceptable images. But also at the same aspect, one of the more fun side of things, I'm also seeing, as far as being a collector, that too many people are focusing on the negative aspects of collecting, want to talk about the scams and all this other stuff instead of talking about the books. I rather for people to talk about, hey, I read this book, it was fun, this, that, or the other. I like this about it. I like that about it. I liked how they drew this. I like how this was written in such a way, instead of, oh, the value of this book that came out 2 weeks ago, this, it shouldn't be this way, and yada, yada, yada. we all know about those trappings as a collector, but where's the fun stuff now? Where's the fun in it? You know, like for example, getting that Wonder Woman 64 for I believe I paid less than $50 for that Wonder Woman 64. And I was through the moon. I was through the roof because I got it from what Parallax says lovingly from mile high prices. And that wasn't mile high price because if I paid the actual mile high price for that, it would have gone for a lot more money. Maybe triple of what I paid for it. But, to me, those type of deals should be talked about. Like like this right here. We need to talk about when we have scores like for something like this for like $23. Just give people hope that you can still get good deals out there and not be scammed and not feel like that people are trying to get over on you and everything. And the thrill of the hunt should be a positive, not a negative. Again, everybody wants me to go out there to physically hunt to go through like 50-cent boxes, dollar boxes, and $2 boxes with them. And I could tell them it's like if I go to a store and most 50-cent, $1 and $2 box is going to have a lot of comics that I could care less about. And the reason why is because there's a lot of titles that are out there that they put in those $1, $2 and 50-cent boxes that are gap fillers. And because of that, that's one of the reasons why when I did my series as far as comic book collecting 101, I told you to go to those boxes because a lot of times those gap filling issues are there. Not everything is going to be a key. Not everything is going to be something that is going to be worth money. So if you want to build up your collection, like if you want to build up a nice little Uncanny X-Men collection or a nice little X-Men collection, go to those boxes. Get those issues that fill in gaps first. That way, when you get those key issues, you're not really hunting as hard for those that fill in between because you already covered those. That's how back in the day I did my Wonder Woman, how I did my X-Men collection. I was hitting those dollar boxes real hard. And back then, a lot of those dollar boxes still had, near mint and near mint books up in them. It's not always about, the beat up books and everything to that magnitude. Now, if I would have known back then what I know now, if I knew back then what I know now, I would still end up getting like a lot of the Jugheads and stuff that I'm trying to collect now. And like I already stated before, I probably would have done Wonder Woman before I did X-Men because I had greater opportunity to get things like, Wonder Woman 1 and Sensation Comics books and stuff to that magnitude. I probably wouldn't have been able to get All-Star Comics 8, but back then, books were a lot cheaper, and considering the fact of what I paid for my Uncanny X-Men 1, I could have got a Wonder Woman 1 if I would have put maybe another $500 to $1,000 aside back then. And we're talking about the 90s, the 90s during that time. But it is what it is here. So I guess nobody else has anything to say as far as the positive aspects of the stuff here. So I'm going to bid you guys adieu here. We're getting close to, at least those that are on the East Coast, you're getting close to Sunday. So I want you to have some of your Saturday left here for you can relax and enjoy and everything. And for those who are in the Midwest and on the West Coast, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I hope that what I stated here as far as the conversation is concerned, I don't want it to start an argument, but I want you guys to think about it. just to think, outside the box here, not to be upset about the fact that the tool is doing X, Y, and Z, but think about it as far as the manpower that goes behind it, the manpower that goes behind traditional artwork, and the manpower that goes behind solely doing the AI and the crossover between the two. Because if you got people who doing the AI stuff that are coming back and doing the cleanup and the manipulation of it, I don't have a problem with it. They're doing exactly what a traditional artist would have been doing to refine their piece. But until that happens, and like the greater majority, I would say the greater majority, I would say like anywhere between 70 to 80% of those that using AI is not doing it. And I'm being generous at 70 to 80. It could be closer to 99% of people who using AI are not, refining the stuff. I really don't know. I don't have hard numbers, but it's just something to truly think about. And on that note, I would say live life, grow, and be well. And we are out of here for another Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday here, at least the last 19 minutes of your Saturday on the East Coast. And everywhere else, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. As for me, I'm going to try to find something else to snack on and try to relax and get some rest in before I get back to work on some prime time Saturday night on tomorrow. And until next week, I am out of here. Adios.